Welcome to Buy, Hold, Sell. My name's Matthew Kidman, and today we have Romano Sala-Tenna from Katana and Steve Johnson from Forager. And we're talking about stocks that are making the headlines. Is it, while they're in the newspaper, is it too late? Has the moment passed? Let's start with you, Steve. Commonwealth Bank, been a lot of talk about the banks recently, royal commissions, ASIC getting funding from the banks to look at them. Commonwealth Bank, buy, hold or sell?
Look, I'm a contrarian, so I seek out the negative headlines and tend to be attracted to these sorts of things, and the banking space has been copping a hiding, so that makes it interesting to me. I would still say hold on this stock though. It hasn't fallen far enough for me to justify the risks, and one of the key things that worries me is the risk of litigation and a lot of compensation to come out of this sector. We own Lloyd's in our international portfolio. Every time it reports, there's a few billion more pounds in misbehaviour penalties from the past, and I think that is a risk for the Australian sector. I think there's been a lot of bad stuff going on that hasn't yet come to the surface.
Romano, what do you think of Australia's biggest company? Bad headlines, good or bad? Buy, hold or sell?
Look, I think the headline's a bit of a storm in a teacup. If you look back at their last half, I think NPAT was in the area of sort of 4.8 billion. You know, wealth management revenues or profits were less than 380, so it's about 8% or so. So whilst you're going to have some impact in terms of sentiment, I think fundamentally it's going to have less impact over the duration.
Buy, hold or sell though on the back of that?
I think for us it's a switch. I think looking at price to book value and other metrics, we're happy to switch to something like a NAB or another bank that you have comfort and see-through with.
Okay, airlines, notoriously bad as an investment. Buffett tells us that. Qantas has been the best performer in the top 100 for the last couple of years. Buy, hold or sell?
Yeah, look, we're a hold/sell. I mean, there's a lot of things driving the Qantas share price. We try and keep it pretty simple. We think it's an inverse proxy to the oil price. You've got to have a view on oil. We think oil's bottomed and is going to grind higher. We don't know over what time frame it's going to grind higher, but we think it's going to grind higher. So for us, given that thematic, we're sort of a hold verging on a sell.
Some poor numbers for the first time in a couple of years from Qantas.
Yeah,
that was the headline, buy, hold or sell.
There have been a lot of tailwinds here. Falling currency's been great for them. Falling oil price has been fantastic. People have convinced themselves that it's a better business than I think it is. It's very, very cyclical, and I think at these prices you sell.
Okay, safe as a house, can't go wrong with real estate in Australia. McGrath, listed, downgraded, stock has been hammered. Buy, hold or sell?
I have to put the disclosure out here. We bought a little bit of this last week and didn't get as much as we wanted, so we're a tiny shareholder in McGrath at lower prices than today's. I think there's an interesting long-term play here on the corporatisation of the Australian real estate sector. It's been a very, very successful place to be in the UK. I see the same factors at play here. I'm very worried about the housing market, and I think you're starting to see signs of that. And I've been caught in the past buying what I think is a good story into some very bad thematics outside that. And I think with the price popping up a bit, it's gone back to being a hold for me. But I think there's a long-term opportunity in this business to consolidate the industry and to bring more of the industry in under the corporate players.
Okay, Romano, buy, hold or sell?
Yeah, look, for us it's a hold. I mean, it's got a pristine balance sheet. Management are very well regarded. All our channel checks show they're best in breed in terms of what they're doing there, so there's a lot to like. On our modelling, we've got pretty flat profit growth for the next 2 years. It's on a high single-digit PER, so that's about right from where we're sitting. So for us, it's a hold at the moment.
Okay, what's one stock that's been in the headlines that you'd like to tell us about?
Yeah, look, Woodside had their AGM last week and we were at that in Perth. We like that company. I mean, it reaffirmed the things that we do like there. An absolute focus on costs, financial discipline. They're one of the few resource stocks globally that's now in a good position with a strong balance sheet at the bottom of the cycle. And also, refreshingly, a focus on the longer term. So despite the fact they've got headlines around Browse and the oil price and so forth, we think Woodside's a good one. We've been adding that to our portfolio.
Steve, you've got a headline that's catching your eye that could be a buy, hold or sell for us?
Yeah, look, I'm going to put another oil-related theme out there, but Santos is a stock. We don't own it, and I want to disclose that up front, but I feel like that story is pretty interesting at the moment. Again, it's been beaten up. There's been a capital raising that's gone most of the way to fixing the balance sheet, and this whole LNG stuff that's been a massive drama for them is getting close to behind them in terms of capex and is going to start producing cash flow. I'll be watching that story very closely as it unfolds over the next few years, because a lot of people hate the stock, a lot of people are burned by it, and I think that creates the environment for a better medium to long-term story.
Therefore, you should be reading the headlines because they generate a lot of good stock ideas.